Good stuff. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Holtz Mitchell channel. And today's going to be a little bit of a mixed bag. Got done with this little project here. This is a storage case for a mini pallet. Now, I would have probably done a video on the mini pallet. It's just a bunch of repetitive drilling and tapping and drilling and tapping and drilling and tapping and drilling and tapping. So it really didn't seem to be all that interesting of a project, but I'll show you the finished product here in the course of this video. But today's main focus is on how I made this case, and a dynamic that has been a subject in this channel before. A few years back, I did some precision wood parts, and I used face mills and it was face mills, I believe, to manufacture those. And those parts had to be pretty precise, within 1/10 of a millimeter. And so I was able to do those on the Bridgeport and do them up fairly accurately, and get some pretty good results. The tolerance wound up being less than a few hundredths of a millimeter. And so that project worked out really well. Now, I've done some other just tinking around with, using a slotting mill to do a rabbet on a piece of wood just to see if it could be done, and of course it could be. And with that first video, I got into some dialogue with some viewers, mostly, Don Cosset was one of those folks that had also tried this on the Bridgeport, and he reported his results, and I can say that yes, I can concur, or I can confirm what he said in those videos. Now, I'll bring the camera around here in a bit, and I used several different bits on the Bridgeport to get this thing done. I used spiral flute bits, or end mills, and straight flute end mills, and then one, it's got a little bit of a spin to it, but it's actually I'm thinking it's probably intended for steel mostly. Also, bit quality is going to come into play here. I used the end mills from my collection of end mills that I've had over the years, mostly from German and Austrian manufacture. And then with the straight flute bits for hogging material, I used some bits that I got in this kit right here. You guys have probably seen these. These are cheap Chinese bits. The kit itself cost, I don't know, 30, 40 bucks. They're cheap, they're junk. And I tried to get the job done. Unfortunately, one of them broke, and I'll show you guys that here in a bit. And the other one got so hot that the powder coating melted off. So anyway, I'll bring the camera around here and show you what's going on here. So one of the objectives was to get a nice square case using the parallelity of the machine, and that worked out really great. Did the long sides first, and I was using this spiral end mill. And for hogging, I use this straight flute bit here. Not initially, but initially I used this little cheapo Chinese jobby here. I'll get up close and personal with them here in a minute. But anyway, with this bit, I did the outsides. And Don Cosset commented that, he conventional milled, and he was getting, a respectable edge, but, not a very good finish. And I concur. That's what I got on that until I did the return cut climb milling. And I didn't take a very big cut, maybe a couple of tenths of a millimeter, and maybe half, something like that. And I got a really, really, really smooth finish. I mean, I didn't even have to hardly sand much on this edge to get a nice actually, a fairly respectable finish. Now it is a little rough to the touch, but that's just the fiber standing up. I did sand this thing in here in the back just to kind of get a comparison, and the top and the bottom, and night and day, of course. But anyway, that wasn't important because, on the edges here, you want a little bit of friction anyway when you try to open the lid. So let me get these down here. So here's the inside of the box, and for this, I wound up in the end using this carbide bit. This is out of German or Austrian manufacturer, I do believe, but it is straight flute. If you want to take a gander here. And so it barely had the depth to reach all the way through. For, for hogging it out, conventional milling, I got a lot of fine chips because of the recirculation. I couldn't go to full depth on this guy here, just because, on the top. On the bottom I could, but I could have used a face mill for the bigger parts, but I still had to go in for the smaller parts, and so it was, 6 one way, a half a dozen the other, so I just opted to keep this guy and hog the inside of this out. And I got a pretty decent result, once I clamped this down. Now, one of the questions is, can you climb mill on a hand feed situation, with a handheld router or on a router table? And the answer is absolutely not, because that cutter is going to grab that workpiece and just sling it across the room, probably injure you, or break it, and even break the bit. So I don't recommend it. Now you can do that when you're clamping it down. If you have like an overhead router, I used the Bridgeport as such, and so I was able to clamp down the workpiece and hold it in place, and really have control over the whole process. And so I got results in here. I did not have to even sand the inside of this edge at all. It's just as natural as when it came off the machine. So I did have to cut the corners here a little bit, cut those out so that they were nice and square for the relief of the feet here. I got some footsies that go underneath this thing to elevate the thing in case I'm using coolant, and the coolant has to go into the table and then back into the tank. So anyway, here's the the mini pallet. So here's a little bit of footage of of the process here. Note that I've got the little carbide bit here doing the edge of the workpiece. And notice how the chips kind of come all the way around the axis of the cutter and don't eject essentially until the blade re-enters the workpiece, and they pile up just along the edge. Now here I am blowing away the chips from the cutter, and the difference between how the cutter was getting warm, or better say, you can see in the chips that, what am I looking for here? The chips that are coming off this thing are large and fluffy when air is getting put to it. So, you're getting one cooling, and then you're not getting a recirculation of the chips in the cut. And so that makes a big difference in the performance of the cutter, as well as the bit not heating up. So the bottom line, folks, is you definitely want to have some air movement around your cutters in order to keep them cool, to keep from overheating. The one that broke wasn't a question of heating or feeding it too fast. It's just bad steel. That's all it can be. I mean, when I look at the brake here, how clean it is, I I could see that the bit was flexing, and then it just snapped right off. And it looks like an old brake too, so it's not something new. Hard to say. In other words, you get what you pay for. When you buy, you know, now, if you go and buy one of these carbide bits, yeah, you're going to probably pay, I don't know, $60, $70, $80, $90 for one of these. You buy one of these, you might be paying $5, but these are one use only. So your cost per cut goes up exponentially with the cheaper bits, because the more expensive bit is going to have a longer service life than the cheap one. And so when this set gets used up eventually, I'm going to replace those bits with good quality bits out of European manufacturer or US manufacturer, wherever I can get them from, that gives me, good service life. This stuff is absolute, the Chinese stuff is absolute junk. I've said that before, and I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it until I'm blue in the face. Don't buy this stuff. It's just not worth it. One, you're supporting communism. You're funding that bunch and undermining our own economy. So, yeah, you might want to think about that again before you go out and buy that garbage. So anyway, that's a wrap for today's video. Hope you guys were able to glean a little bit of useful information out of today's presentation. If you have any thoughts, comments, critiques, suggestions, or questions, by all means, put them in the comment section below. A little bit of interaction always helps the YouTube algorithm, or the algorithms in the other social media sites where this video is getting posted immensely, and promoting the video. And of course, the object is here to inform and teach folks a little bit more about the processes and stuff like that that's going on here. So with that, thanks for stopping by, thanks for watching, and I hope to see y'all again soon in the next video.